Hey, 8th grade. So I'm here with the chapter 2 and 3 answers to the questions that I sent home in your packet. So I'm going to go over these answers real quick. These are a little bit shorter than chapter 1's answers, and there's not as many questions either. So I have them up here on the board behind me. Number 1 for chapter 2. Describe Scout's teacher, Miss Caroline Fisher. What is irrational about her teaching methods? Which I didn't answer the second part of the question up on the board, but I'll tell y'all. So for the first part of it, Miss Caroline was about 21 years old. She had bright auburn hair. She wore makeup and a dress, and she looked and smelled like a peppermint, is what they always said. What was irrational about her teaching methods was that she was mad that Scout knew how to read and write already, and she thought she needed to learn that in school only. Like, wouldn't you just be proud that she knew how to do it? But anyways, that was one of her thoughts on that. Number 2, how did Scout learn to read and write? Her dad, Atticus, taught her how to do that. Number 3, describe the Cunningham clan. The Cunninghams are a large, poor farm family. So they're a large family. They don't have very much money during this time. Remember, this is the Great Depression time. So farmers got hit really hard during the Great Depression. They lost a lot of money. So they're just trying to make ends meet and do as best as they can, okay, with what they have. Number 4, when Scout asks her father if they are as poor as the Cunninghams, how does he respond? Though Atticus is, what does the reader learn through Atticus? What does the reader learn about the Great Depression and how it affected different classes of people in different ways? So for number 4, he didn't say they weren't as poor as the Cunninghams. He said, but he said the Great Depression hit the farmers the hardest, and professionals like what he is, he's a lawyer. It says they were poor because the farmers were poor. So it was kind of like a domino effect that happened during the Great Depression. When one industry got hit, it kind of hurt the other industries in the United States. So that's number 4. Number 5, why does Miss Caroline punish Scout? And it's because she takes up for Walter. She's telling Walter doesn't have lunch, and Miss Caroline is trying to give him a quarter for lunch, and he won't take it, and Scout's trying to explain that the Cunninghams have no money, and that's why Walter is not taking it, because he can't pay her back because he don't have any money. And so Miss Caroline gets really aggravated with Scout for trying to take up for Walter. She was trying to do the right thing. She just was going about it the wrong way, I think, is what she got frustrated with. Okay, and then, so you can see these questions, chapter 3. First one says, what does Scout do to make Calpurnia furious, and what lesson does Calpurnia teach her? Okay, so for number 1, remember Walter comes home with Scout and Jim from school to eat dinner. Well, Scout told Walter to stop pouring syrup on his dinner at the table, and Cal told her she was being rude. So she had to teach, Cal had to teach Scout that you let your company do what they want to do, basically. Don't say something that you don't agree with when you have company, because it seems you're being rude to them, okay? Number 2 says, who are the Yules and why are they treated differently than others, and identify the certain privileges they get. So the Yules are a family that are like where the Cunninghams are poor and they're farmers. The Yules are more, they're lower on the social status. They're not just poor, they steal from others, they live horrible life. So they don't go to school, they don't come to school, they don't have a mother. So it's just Mr. Yule and his kids. They cause a lot of trouble. And one of their privileges is that Mr. Yule can hunt in and out of season. He doesn't really follow that law that everyone else does. Okay? Number 3 says, compare the education levels of Scout, Walter, and Burris. How do these comparisons emphasize the relationship between the class and education? So Scout, she's educated already because her dad's taught her to read and write. But of course she goes to school as well, and she has to go to school. Her dad makes her. She's at school every day like your parents make you go. Walter, remember, he's the Cunningham. He has little education, but he's a hard worker. And the reason why he doesn't have a lot of education is because he has to quit school during part of the year to help work on the farm. And it tells us that in chapter 2, and that's why he has to not go to school for a certain amount of time in the months where the farming is the heaviest. So, and then last one, Burris, is uneducated because he doesn't come to school. He comes to school on the first day of school and then he doesn't come back. And he's a troublemaker, all right? And so that kind of tells you a lot about their social classes because of how their education is. You got one educated, one a little educated, and then one not educated at all. So that kind of also describes how their social classes are as well. All right. And then number 4, what important lesson does Atticus teach Scout about understanding people? Different kinds of people live by different morals or laws, okay? So she doesn't understand why Mr. Yule doesn't make his kids go to school and Atticus does make his kid go to school and, you know, all this. And so he's trying to teach her that different people live by different morals, and that's not what they believe in. All right, and then number 5, what compromise did Atticus make with Scout at the end of the chapter? He compromised to read to her each night, even though Miss Caroline doesn't want her to do it at home. He agrees to do it and just keep it a secret between the two of them that they still read every night because Scout loves for her dad to read to her. Okay, so that's chapters 2 and 3. I hope that helped. I hope you guys are doing well, and we'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.